Hello and welcome to Pol's Bass Attic. Today we are going to talk about playing jazz bass lines, so walking bass and 2-beat, and we're going to dive right into the subject with a piece called Autumn Leaves by Jacques Prévert and Joseph Cosma that has become a standard and is played all over the globe, and it contains one very basic progression that uses the basic chords that you need to know in order to create your walking bass lines. First of all, you need to get to know a bit of theory though, so just know what the letters mean and to which notes they correspond, and also just the basic construction of chords, so only what the third and the fifth and maybe the seventh of a chord are like. But first of all, let's already try to create a bass line only playing the root, because as a bass player that's our main task. Play the root, put down the foundation of the harmony and help the drummer drive the rhythm further. That's also what places us in the middle of a standard jazz setting between the drummer and the piano player. So let's now play a little line only using roots and playing 2-beat style, so accentuating the first and the third beat of every bar. 3, 4. So this already puts down the harmony and is already quite nice as a bass line to start off with. Your job here is done. Everything else is optional. But of course it's also nice to check out these options. The first note I would use to alternate with the root is the fifth. It comes from very old times if you think about march and polka music and even other styles. It's basically what you have. Fifth counterpart of the root. Note that you can either use the fifth above the chord, so from the C you go to the G, which is found one string and 2 frets up, or the fifth down, so which is the same note, the G, but an octave down, and you can find it always starting and staying on the same fret and going to the lower string. A mix between the two will give you this. 3, 4. Okay, here I have to get your attention because note it's not 2 frets up but 1. This is because the chord says A minor 7 flat 5, which means we have to lower the fifth half a step, which we just did. Okay, now when you're out of fifths and you need to do something else, the next go-to note would be the third, because the third already defines the color of the chord and defines if it's major or minor. C minor 7 means you have the minor third that you use. You find it when you go 3 frets up from your root, or when you go 1 string up and 2 frets down. So, or here again, both are possible, but this is both the same notes. You're gonna find out that you can also take the third below. When we go now to the next chord, F7, which means it has a major third. So you go either 4 frets up, which is a big jump. Easier is to go 1 string up and 1 fret down. So there you find your major third. But you can also use the major third an octave below. So F, A, and you use the A that's an octave below, which gives you a lot of more possibilities actually. So let's try to play a line now combining upper third and lower third. 3, 4. Lower third, up, and lower third, A. Okay, that's already quite nice I think as a bass line. Now you have to realize that you cannot only play the shapes because you also need to know the note names in order to always catch on these thirds and fifths on the right spot. So always also think the notes and not only the shape that you play. A good exercise to do so is to force yourself to stay in first position where you have the open strings. So you have to think the notes, otherwise you won't get through. Let's now try to play a walking bass line. So from 2-beat to walking you simply need to add 2 notes. So instead of playing only 1 and 3, you play every beat of the bar. Gives you something like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. per beat using only roots, fifths and thirds, octave above, octave below. That's what this is. I think you already have a lot of basic information now to work on. This brings it down to the following notes in the bar, which would be the root, one chord or scale tone, one chord or scale tone, and the fourth note you can use it to link to the next chord. So for example, add a chromatic approach or play the fifth of that chord. You have to know that this way of playing the jazz bass lines developed over decades of great players like playing their ideas, and it's a language, and in order to need that language you need to listen. Listen to names like Jimmy Blanton, Walter Page, Oscar Pettiford, Curly Russell, Ray Brown, Charles Mingus, all these great players that developed the lines on double bass. And it might also be a good idea to think like a double bass player. So you have the possibility to touch a double bass and pull this string and feel this bounce. It might make you reconsider some things about the bass guitar as well. So if you get the chance, do it. To finish this off, I'm gonna play a little bass line by Sam Jones over this particular piece with Cannonball Adderley in '58. They recorded the album Something Else. And it actually recapitulates everything that we just mentioned, and yeah, shows you nicely how it's used in a live context. Walking bass. Note how also the drummer changes his style of playing while going from 2 beats to the walking bass line. 2 beat he played only with brushes on the snare, and then as soon as the bassist goes to walking bass line, he really goes to this 4 beat right swing. Drummer and bass players always should take decisions hand in any context. Okay, so thanks for watching and for listening today. It was a pleasure to present a bit of the basics of walking jazz bass to you. Tune in again next time when we play bass from the attic, and yeah, take care, walk the dog and play the bass guitar.